Hello there everybody, WhatCulture Wrestling's Adam Cleary here, and this is a video sort of by special request. I mean, not exactly by special request, we do whatever the hell we like, obviously, but yeah, a lot of people have been asking us the same question, so we thought we would do a video addressing that. Alright, so you're not an idiot, you watch wrestling. I'm sure you noticed on Raw this week, Triple H came out and was like, "Can you feel it?" I found this toy microphone, by the way. "Can you feel it? There's something in the air." And then was like, "We're on the road to WrestleMania," which was, I mean, true. Yes, they are on the road to WrestleMania, but he did something very un-road to WrestleMania after that. He did 4 massive NXT call-ups, which is what we expect, like the Raw after WrestleMania or the Raw after SummerSlam. Like, not some random night in February, but he did them anyway. Now quite why he would bring his prized possessions onto the main roster at this point in their careers, especially when some of them were embroiled in really interesting feuds in NXT, was quite confusing. People weren't sure whether or not this was like for realsies, are they called up full time, or are they just, is it a showcase? We weren't really sure what was going on, and then they appeared again on SmackDown, and they appeared again on NXT. So it's a bit confusing, and you've been asking us, what the hell is going on with that? Why would they call them up only sort of? Why would they use them to bury some of Raw's talent and some of SmackDown's talent if they're not on those rosters full time? So we have an answer. Alright, so just to recap, they do the call up and all 4 of them appear on Raw that first night. Aleister Black gets I think it was meant to be a squash, but it was kind of an 8-minute Raw chinlock special against Aleister. Gargano and Ciampa beat the Revival, who just won the tag team titles, and Ricochet beat Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush when they teamed him up with Finn Balor. Now, all of those matches were good, and all of those matches just about made the 4 of them look strong. Then again, on SmackDown, all 4 of them appeared again and also got wins in their columns there as well. We had Ciampa and Gargano against The Bar, we had Andrade versus Aleister Black, which is an NXT dream match from back in the day, and Ricochet went one-on-one with Eric Young and won. So that's it, they're just called up on both brands, we all thought. But of course the problem with that is that 2 of them are reigning NXT champions. Obviously Ciampa is the NXT champion and Gargano is the North American champion. So you can't really, I mean, they've done it in the past where they've called people up, yes, while they've had belts, Kevin Owens being a notable example of that, but you can't really just take all of your top champions over there without really addressing it on NXT. So the theory was they would still be a part of that brand, and indeed we heard words to go along with that. But then, what happened on NXT? Gargano drops his championship, which is just even more delicious ingredients in this very, very confusing cake. So what the hell? Like, all the reports suggested that they were going to be on all 3 brands for the foreseeable future. They were using them across the entire range of programming, but why? They've never done anything like that before. They've never called anybody up, have them being cross-promotional and cross-brand, and it really be an established thing. Never mind doing it with 4 people at the exact same time. So something's obviously going on at WWE, and it wasn't until yesterday that we got an insight into what that is. According to reports in the Wrestling Observer, the problem WWE have is with WrestleMania. Vince McMahon has looked at the sliding ratings and the state of the company and decided that its upper mid-card level is not good enough. It has, in his own words, no stars. Your Bobby Lashleys, your Jinder Mahals, your Eliases, your everybody else's who sit just a little bit above the mid-card, none of them are stars in his mind, and the only way he could think to address WrestleMania is to have stars on it. So what did Vince do? Well, he turned to Triple H and said, well, we need more stars, and Triple H was like, well, I've kind of got some in NXT, but you can have them a little bit later. And Vince went, no, actually, you know what, scratch that, I'll just have them now. It doesn't matter what they're doing or like what their story arc is or how you're developing their character. If you say they're stars, then we'll just have them on the main roster. Give me your 4 best guys, and thus all 4 of them were called up. Now, yes, I can hear every single one of you screaming at the computer here about that word, stars. You're only a star in wrestling if you're booked like a star. Daniel Bryan and Becky Lynch, the reason they got so successful was not because they were stars, but because everybody could see what stars they could be and were frustrated that the company wasn't booking them that way. Bryan wasn't a star, like a star, the kind of star Vince McMahon wants people to be, until he actually won at WrestleMania, until they booked him as that level of a star. Likewise, Becky Lynch, she is the man, she is over, but she's not going to be a star unless they book her to beat Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. It's all in the booking. And thus, if it's all in the booking, then when Vince looks at your Bobby Lashleys, your Eliases, your Jinder Mahals, your everybody else's and he doesn't see them as stars, then that's That's on him. He is the booker. He is the man who dictates whether or not these people become stars. And it's the whole reason those 4 guys in NXT are seen as stars. Yes, they are all talented. They have got the raw materials to be big successes in wrestling, but they've been booked really, really well. Ricochet's looked amazing since he came up to the main roster. Aleister Black has destroyed people in matches, and people are so invested in the Ciampa Gargano feud as it's made its way from the tag team division to the very top of the card that they appear to be stars in that promotion. Just dragging them over and telling people they are stars isn't enough. I think it's like the age-old question that a lot of wrestling promoters seem to struggle with, not least of all Vince McMahon. Do you have a star because they're booked like a star, or do you book them like a star because they are a star? Really sick of saying the word star now. The alarm bells started to go off though as soon as the commentary began. Now they're supposed to be stars in NXT and we're going to treat them as stars on the main roster, but Michael Cole, talking about Ricochet, who you will remember, I think pretty much had a 5-star match on his debut in NXT, said that he broke out during halftime heat. Like, that was Ricochet's arrival in the wrestling world, according to Michael Cole. Hadn't really done much before that, not in New Japan, not in Lucha Underground, not in NXT, but he did halftime heat, that network special, and hey, by God, didn't he look good in that? Just a reminder that nothing they've done outside the main roster really counts, which, again, if you're going to present them as stars because of stuff they've done outside of the main roster, it doesn't work. Do you see? That doesn't work. And what's really wild about this is that Vince looks at that current roster and apparently doesn't see any stars. He sees WrestleMania on the horizon and he doesn't see anybody in the upper mid-card worth making a big song and dance about for their biggest show of the year. So what he wants to do is just grab 4 stars from NXT, ready-made stars, and put them in there instead. Now I'm just going to throw 4 names at you just for a second. Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura. All of them were stars in NXT. They were stars when they arrived on the main roster, and now apparently not really worth much of a damn. So what's between step A and B? It's the booking. Now I know I can see some of the comments already. People are like, oh, we're just complaining for complaining's sake. This is a good thing that they're getting brought up. This is a good thing that they're getting to wrestle in front of more people. And I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. They should all be aiming to be on the main roster so they can do all their best work in front of the widest audience possible. We should be celebrating the fact that all 4 of them are coming up to do just that. But the problem is there are people already there. There is a logjam of talent. They've only just brought up EC3 and they've forgotten about him seemingly in 2 or 3 weeks. Now you might prefer those 4 guys to EC3, fair enough, but what about everybody else that's currently on Raw or SmackDown and isn't really getting a fair crack of the whip? Like, what's to stop the exact same thing happening to these 4 now that they're on the main roster? They've still got weeks, like 2 months to go until WrestleMania. What's to stop them just forgetting about these 4 in that time? Nothing. Look, the reason I'm so confused and all over the place in this video is because I'm talking about booking that is confused and all over the place. And the reason the booking is confused and all over the place is because the management and the decisions being made are confused and all over the place. You can't look me in the eye and tell me Ricochet, Black, Gargano, and Ciampa will somehow benefit from being spread really thin across all 3 of WWE's biggest shows, when 2 of them are in the midst of a big storyline and the other 2 have still got work to do on their characters. This doesn't benefit anybody really, and it's absolutely terrifying, I guess, for them that they're going to be pushed front and center to apparently fix all of WWE's problems. And there are problems, because the only reason Vince is doing this is because of the rating slide. He thinks these 4 are somehow going to fix it. That's not fair on them. And on top of all of that, you've got these existing rosters on both shows full of incredibly talented wrestlers who could be doing very interesting programs, who now all have to take a back seat to these 4 guys, even though none of them are full-time on the brands they work for. So who does this benefit? Is it the audience? I don't know that it is. Is it the 4 of them? I don't think it is. Is it the existing rosters? Almost certainly not. It's the networks. That's the only people who gain anything from this, I guess. So yeah, the real reason WWE have called up all 4 of these guys from NXT is not some business-changing plan they've got. It's not some amazing program of wrestling they can't wait to share with us all as fans. It's simply because they've tried everything else and the ratings still continue to go downhill. They've done different feuds, different angles, different turns, different gimmicks. They've done different kinds of segments. They had Alexa Bliss get a top off and somehow that didn't work. So yeah, stars. It must be because there's not enough stars in Vince McMahon's head. So he just gets them from NXT, takes Triple H's most precious toys and then just plays with them the same way he plays with everything else, I guess. But all that being said, these are still 4 of the best wrestlers on the entire planet, and it wouldn't take much for WWE to actually use them really, really well. They might surprise us with all this. I am crossing absolutely everything. Anyway, let us know what you make of it all in the comments below, and of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. In the meantime, though, thank you very much for watching. I have, of course, been the eternally hopeful Adam Cleary, and I'll see you soon.